I started playing the piano when I was 6 years old, formally, but I wanted to play earlier when I was 4. I guess I saw a piano at a preschool, and I went home and told my mom and dad, this is what I want to do. And they are not musicians, so they thought, okay, we'll probably give it up a month later. So what they did was they bought me a toy organ for Christmas that I think they still have in their garage. And I played around with that for 2 years. And apparently was spending an enormous amount of time on this little toy. And when they saw me starting to pick up things off the radio and teach myself how to play in ways they didn't understand, they said, okay, we'll buy a piano and start giving you lessons. And that's really kind of how it happened. And then from there, I discovered through my teacher music, and specifically classical music. And I knew from very early on that it was how I wanted to spend the rest of my life. The coolest place possibly that I've ever played was the White House. I hadn't even been a tourist at the White House, and then suddenly the invitation came several years ago, couple decades ago, and it was an event like none other. First there is the fact that I had to actually perform and focus, but then I wasn't also going to miss out on a dinner and meeting the president. So it was really like walking through a dream, because here you are in the most important place really on the planet in some ways, and it fills you up with the pride and I think the affection for the place you grew up in so many different and unexpected ways. And so just being able to play music there for my country, I think, was just an incredible experience. When I was studying piano, I started with a teacher who not only taught me my first scale, but was able to really prepare me for a life in music and an eventual career. And that's not usually the same person. Usually we go from teacher to teacher and start with a young child education and then move on to a university level or a training kind of environment. But that just wasn't the case with me. And so when I knew that this was somebody who could really stay with me my whole life in terms of the education, I decided when I went to school that I would do something different, maybe different but related. And in this case, it was languages and literature. And I picked German because partly I like grammar, but also because it was pretty much the core repertoire of the piano. It's from German-speaking cultures. And the nice thing was that after college, German also sort of turned into a job for me, because music was definitely not paying the bills at that time. And I thought, if there was to have to be another life or an exit plan out of music, that I would probably go into something that had to do with languages permanently. But after college, I was a high school German teacher for 6 years until I actually won a competition which changed my life and pushed me into the professional music world. But really, I had 2 full-time lives parallel basically since I was in high school. And that's in some ways helped me for the demands of this career now, just being on the road and not having almost any time for myself. Knowing how to manage that type of existence, I think allowed me to find some kind of normalcy in a weird situation. My favorite composer to play is probably the one that's on the program for tonight, which in this case is Beethoven. I've loved the Emperor Concerto of Beethoven for so long. I remember listening to it on recordings when I was a young child, just thinking it would be the most incredible experience to play it. And suddenly here I am in Valdosta playing it with your orchestra. And it's like kind of a dream, because I never thought a lot of this would be possible. This is one of the cornerstones of the piano repertoire for orchestra and piano. With it, Beethoven, I think, changed the way that people write piano concertos. It became really once and for all about the soloist. And even though it's a work where the piano is so deftly integrated with the orchestra, the piano is now front and center in this theater of a piece. And that is something new and something that has not changed since this piece was written back in the 1800s. Every orchestra is different, and there's a different dynamic, kind of an interpersonal dynamic, and there's a different musical one. And it's almost like with a new group that I don't know, I feel kind of the vibe instantaneously. And as soon as we started working, I knew I would have a good week. It was just really fun from the very beginning. It's really great to be on a stage where everybody is actually wanting to make it better. There are certain times where you think people are just kind of going through the motions or doing it because they do it every week, and it's another Emperor concerto. But here you feel like everybody is working toward a common goal, and everybody's enjoying it, and I just see smiles all over, and so it makes me want to do even better. So I've had an incredible 3 days so far, and I'm really looking forward to the concert.